Swati, I'll just be sharing my screen for a few minutes. Yeah, so everyone, this is the platform that you need to log into. I'll just put this URL on the chat box. It is infeespringboard.onwingspan.com. Please use the same registered mail ID to log into the WebEx platform as well. And this is how you log in. If you have already registered, I'm sure most of you were a part of the walkthrough session. So please put in your credentials, your registered mail ID, and your password, and log into Infosys Springboard platform. Swati, you want me to give the link now or at the end of the session? How do you prefer?
Let's do it at the end, Prithvi.
Okay. I guess HerShakti team people have shared the course link as well before.
Yeah, Prithvi, we had shared the pre-study link yesterday itself, and going forward after the session, we shall be sharing the another link which has been provided by your team. So, as you want it, if you want us to share it now, we can do it now as well, and if you want it to go after the session, that also can be done.
No, we'll do it at the end, ma'am.
Sure, Prithvi, noted.
Yeah. So all you need to do is get into your profile, which is at the right-hand top circle icon. Go there and click on Edit Profile and ensure your name is correctly set here. Your gender is correctly set. State will be Karnataka. City will be Bangalore. And you just type in the first three letters, that is JOB, and automatically Jobs for Her Foundation, comma, space Bangalore will appear on this drop-down menu. So please select that. You don't have to type in the address, it's automatically pops up. Then affiliation can be other. Grade you can select according to your discipline, whatever you've studied and finished. Though you have a gap of a couple of years, it doesn't matter. Please put in your grade correctly. Put in your telephone number correctly. In case you forget your credentials, you'll be able to reset it using your mobile number. And channel partner can be omitted, nothing to be selected in the channel partner field. And you can also tick in this box, also register as a volunteer. And as mentioned yesterday, as instructed, whenever you open Infosys Springboard platform, at the same time in the alternate tab, you can open your registered mailbox as well. And then click on Done option. I hope all of you are clear with this. It doesn't matter whether you are starting your career now, you have taken a break, you want to begin all over. It doesn't matter. All of us are learners here. So let's take this session seriously, and always please keep a pen and a notebook handy so that you can make notes of whatever is being told during the session, please. And if in case in between you have any questions, you can post in your questions on the chat box so that it does not interrupt the flow of the session. And the facilitator Swati is going to address it at the end. So it's 11:30 and we have around 178 participants. I think we are good to start.
I think so too, Prithvi.
Yes, let's not. Yes, Avneet?
So
Yes, you can start. We have already put in the reminder message, and also shall be putting one more time. And in the meanwhile, there will be people still be joining in. So
Yes.
if we wish to wait for 2 minutes, we can, or else we can proceed.
Okay, we'll just give 2 more minutes. It's a
Yeah.
humble request to please join the sessions on time because it's we are giving importance to time as well as the facilitator who has been who's going to deliver the session. So please be sincere to time and stick to the time of the session.
Okay, so Dipanvita, your problem is not yet resolved. Can I ask you to send a one-on-one message to Prithvi in the chat box? You can do that by selecting her name in the drop-down option in the chat in the chat page on the right side.
Yes, if you have any issues in with registration or login, you can please leave your message on the chat box. I'll be able to help you. Please leave in your number and as well as your mail ID so that I'll be able to connect with you later.
Some of you were telling me that my audio was not clear. So I wanted to check, is my audio better now? I have plugged in the earphones. So hopefully the audio is better. If someone can give me an indication by either, giving me a thumbs up or just letting me know in the chat box. It's good? Okay, great.
It's
Thank you.
perfectly clear, Swati, loud and clear. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Great. All right. So it's 11:32. We've given additional 2 minutes. Thanks everyone for so many thumbs ups and so many responses in the chat box. I love it. So shall we then get started, Prithvi?
Yes, Swati. So I have an ACE facilitator from ETA, Swati Bhargava, who's a specialist learning at ETA. ETA stands for Education, Training and Assessment. I personally have been a part of Swati's design thinking sessions, and it's beautiful, and it's an honor to have you, Swati. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation and being a part of this particular program, HerShakti program, brought in by Jobs for Her Foundation, Bangalore. So over to you, and looking forward to learning more on design thinking and what is that we need to ideate on and move on.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Prithvi, and thanks so much for such kind words. All right. So, ladies, first and foremost, a very warm welcome to each and every one of you. I'm extremely excited to be here when Prithvi and another one of our colleagues, Sahana, Avneet would be knowing about Sahana, when they approached me to do the session and I found out who I am being asked to do the session for, I was doubly excited because anything to do with women enablement, women empowerment, upskilling of girls and women, and you will find me somewhere, in that atmosphere, in that ecosystem. So I'm really loving the fact that I get this opportunity, and I'm so happy that Prithvi and our other colleague Sahana thought of me. When they had organized this, organized these sessions with Avneet and team. So great. I'm also seeing a lot of responses. I've been keeping a tag of the chat box over here. And I see a lot of you who are currently working. Then there are some who have taken a career break from 5 months all the way to 8 years and perhaps a little bit more, and for various reasons, right? But I also see a lot to do with personal reasons as being a primary caregiver, right? All right, great. So let me quickly introduce myself a little bit. I know Prithvi has so kindly done that, but let me quickly introduce myself to tell you, how I fit into the larger scheme of things at Infosys. So like Prithvi very rightfully said, ETA at Infosys, we are over 3 lakh employees, and we have a unit that is ETA, Education, Training and Assessment. Education, Training and Assessment is roughly a 850 strong employee unit where we support the entire company in terms of our skilling and our upskilling, right, of what we do. Now, because Infosys is primarily an IT company, most of our trainings are technical trainings, right? Across multiple languages. Those of us who are techies would know what I'm talking about. Then there is one track that handles the behavioral skills, the soft skills, the professional skills training of the employees. And we conduct sessions, that is the entire ETA also conducts sessions, not just for the internal employees, but also our clients and our partners. And in this relationship, this is where Springboard came into play a few years back. And that is the core team that Prithvi belongs to, right? Now, why am I here, right? I am here because I belong to the track that handles the behavioral soft skills and professional skills training, right? So I belong to the track called Learning and Development track. You'll see it mentioned over here at the bottom half of the slide, which says ETA L&D, right? And I'm the learning anchor for some of our key units, business units, and some of our key business accounts, and also some of our key learning milestone programs, right? So that's a little bit about, that is the reason why I am here with all of you today to talk about a concept that is very close to the Infoscian philosophy of doing business and of interacting with our stakeholders, whether they are internal or whether they are external, right? And that philosophy, that concept is design thinking. Now, a quick few requests from my side. Okay, Geeta, thanks for that. Okay, great. Thank you, Asta. Okay, so a couple of requests from my side. First and foremost, can I ask you all, if for those of you who have queries relating to certifications, relating to completion of the course, etc., can I ask you all to select Prithvi's name in the chat box, right, where there's a drop down option where you will see everyone written. Just select Prithvi's name on it. It says Prithvi Bangalore Adishehi, right? Please select Prithvi's name and direct the question to her one-on-one. The reason I'm asking you to do that is so that those of us who don't have this query and it has nothing to do with design thinking content will not get distracted. All right, so that is my first request. My second request is please make this into as conversational and interactive a session as possible. Due to auditory reasons, you're all muted, but that doesn't mean that we cannot interact. I would love to know your perspective through the chat box. So please go ahead and do that. Now, from my side, at any point, if for example, you want to speak, right? So I will be able to give you that option to unmute yourself and you can go ahead and speak. But how do you want to speak is when you indicate to me by raising your hand. So I know that, someone wants to speak and I pause at a logical point and invite you to unmute yourself. All right, I hope that makes sense. And the third request is to keep the conversation going and interactive. I would request you all to use the emoticons, right? All the reactions. So your thumbs ups, like for example, the thumbs up or a smiley or a not such a smiley face or a heart or, whatever it is, right? Any of these reactions, all right? So that I know where we are at, what is the pulse of the entire group, right? So, so that is, those are my few requests, all right? Great. So with this, let's get started on design thinking. Okay, Prithvi has already put that down over there in the chat box. Great. Thank you, Prithvi, for that. Okay, so let's start with a very, very rudimentary question. And I always start off with this because let's build it up, right? Why jump into something right from get-go? I don't believe in diving into the deep end unless it is absolutely necessary. I don't think the situation calls for it right now. Okay, so someone has raised their hand. Was it accidental? I think it was accidental. So there's a difference between raising your hand and giving me a thumbs up. If you want to say yes, give me a thumbs up. But if you want to ask me something, then raise your hand. All right. So Vanishri, you have raised your hand. I hope, okay, go ahead. Do you want to say something, Vanishri? Was an accident. Okay. Samata, was that also an accident? You've raised your hand. Okay, maybe that was an accident. All right, so let's get started. First question to all of you. Have you heard of design thinking, and do you know what it is? So how many of you have heard of design thinking? If you have not, give me a thumbs down. If you have, give me a thumbs up, or say give a yes or a no. Okay, if you're giving me a hands up instead of a thumbs up, then that's confusing. So I'm getting lots of thumbs downs. I'm also getting a lot of thumbs ups. And I'm getting a lot of yeses and a lot of nos. Okay, Vani Chala has raised her hand. Is that accidental, or do you want to unmute and say something? Kadantahi as well. Kadandati Harika. So if you want to give me a thumbs up, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to say something, then raise your hand. Okay, that was accidental. So a lot of no's. Have idea now about it. So you have some idea, heard about it, but do not know what it actually is. All right, Tasneem. Gitanjali got the details yesterday, but completed the course. Okay. So some of us have just the theoretical knowledge. Okay, a lot of no's here. Okay, fine. Okay, Kavita knows an older version of design thinking. All right, thanks, Sarah. Okay, went through the pre-learning link. All right, great. Okay, fine. Lots of responses coming in. Lovely. Thank you so much. All right, now Sarah says that it is design thinking is all about improving the design of a product to fit the needs of the area. Okay, Pooja cannot hear me. Is Pooja the only one who cannot hear me? I don't think so. I think everyone else can hear me. Hi, Pooja. Can you please check your audio settings? The rest can hear me. Okay, audible. There was something that someone was saying. I'm curious to know how it is practiced in the real world and how much of it is practically possible. All right, Geeta, we'll get to that for sure. Okay, so Janani says, oh, can't hear you, ma'am. Okay. Prithvi, can I request you to just let them all know to check their own audio? Thank you. Okay, someone said articulating customer needs in terms of design. Okay, yes, very close to what it really is. Harshit, okay, so Ranjita says design thinking is a process of thinking on customer-centric way to understand and fulfill the needs of the customer. All right. Harshita says design thinking is understanding the customer's problem, identifying those problems and giving solutions and making a prototype. Okay. Kavita says that from the pre-reading material, what I learned is it's an approach where the customer is the king. Okay. Nimita says customer-centric approach to cater to customer needs. All right. Ayish says user-centered designs. Okay. Speedy says identification of actual problems of the customer and delivery of suitable solutions. All right. Prajakta says it's a problem-solving approach. Absolutely right, Prajakta. It is a problem-solving approach. Chandana says thinking from the customer's needs. Okay. Mansi says it's about creating product service according to a customer's perspective. Ashima says collaboration between the user and designer. Anuja says modern approach for creating the perfect development process. And Nicola says customer-centric approach to get innovative solutions for customer satisfaction. All right. Swati, my namesake, says customer-centric approach. Yes, it is. Hemlata says design thinking is a collaboration between designers and users. Okay. Pooja, okay. Jofi says thinking on the customers, thinking from the customer's perspective. Okay. Geeta says empathizing with the customer and developing tailored solutions. Planning, DT is a customer focused approach for the business to solve problems in a creative way. Okay, Shweta. Nupur says it is an iterative process in which we understand users. Yes. Automation of the something that resolves some design, that resolves some problem. Okay. To understand the customer opinion and exact problem, it is based on empathy mapping, design and understanding customer requirements, identifying customer needs, find ideas and problem solutions, brainstorming, designing a product according to customer requirement, understanding a customer's problem from their side, customer-centric approach to understand the product and design. I think it's almost all combined answers. It's a non-linear process which focuses on the collaboration between designers and users. Absolutely. Getting into the mind of the customer, thinking as a customer. Dipanvita says DT is a problem-solving method centered around understanding the user's needs, creating ideas, iterating, empathizing, defining, ideating, prototyping, testing. It's flexible, it's iterative. Optimization, human-centric. Okay, now based on all these responses, I want to know, why are we having a design thinking session? Everyone knows everything. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows it, which is great. So it's going to be very conversational, all right? This is not going to be one of those lectures. It's going to be very, very conversational. You went through the videos and you got an idea. Okay. Credit goes to pre-learning. There you go, Prithvi. Credit goes to your team. You want to know more, Priya? What do you want to know? All right. Let me then do this. Let me then do this. Since a lot of you have gone through, the material. Do you have any questions specific? Do you have any specific questions? You want to know how it's useful? Let's dig into it. Okay. It is this session, Geeta? No, who asked this question? Vidya. So Vidya, this is a generic design thinking session. Want to know the actual usage in the industry? Methodology, prioritizing. Want to know the actual usage? What would like to know in which level of the project design thinking is implemented? Okay, it can be implemented from scratch. How practical is the approach? Do all companies follow these steps? Understanding the unarticulated, want to know actual usage. I can't hear, okay, you can't hear me. Want to know actual usage. How different is role in corporate design thinking process? So Nibita, it can be used in any format, whether it's product or service. Okay, how is it different from SDLC? I have a doubt. The responsibility of business analyst. Hannett, I would say that depending on the portfolio and the profile that the BA has, as far as I'm concerned, this is a conversation that everyone should have. Now, please understand one thing. Let's start off. Let's take a pause from design thinking. Okay, let's take a pause completely from design thinking. I want to know How many of you have worked in an agile project earlier? Monica, are you giving me a thumbs up or did you want to say something? Okay. So I'm getting a lot of responses. Many of you are telling me that I have worked. Many of you have told me that no, I have not worked. And um, I also saw someone's response saying, I don't know what an agile project is. All right. So let me first go back to the basics. Okay. In an IT company, what we normally have been following for decades now is something called, and please make a note, like Prithvi had requested you all to do it. Please make a note of this. Okay. Um, for decades across um, IT companies. Okay, so there is a lot of. Are you copy pasting from somewhere, Dipanvita? Because what's happening here is there is so much of content being shared, I'm not able to see people's responses. Yeah. And I would like to make sure that those who don't come from technical background, like Sri Devi, who comes from banking background, and someone else as well, uh, don't get lost in all of this. All right. So if you're copy pasting from somewhere, then can I request you not to do that? Yeah, a lot of people from different backgrounds. Okay. Um, so in an IT company like Wipro, Infosys, TCS, Cognizant, all of it, right? Yeah, it's all new to you. All right, Savita. So listen carefully, okay? Because I'm going really right down to the basics right now. The job is what? Job is to create software, right? Job is to create software technology platforms so that our clients, they can be insurance clients, they can be telecom industries, they can be banking industries, they can be data analysis companies, right? They can be companies like PwC, Ernst and Young, right? They can be manufacturing companies like Toshiba, like a Toyota, like an Audi. They can be telecom companies like Apple. They can be apparel manufacturing companies like Nike and Adidas, right? We have clients like petroleum companies like British Petroleum, right? Energy based companies that handle natural resources, or energy based companies, right? That are semi governments, right? Yes, healthcare, absolutely, right? So who are our clients? So what are they doing? They are basically using software that companies like Infosys develop. Now the question is, how do we develop this technology, right? So there is something called the waterfall model. You can call it the waterfall methodology also. Okay. What does the waterfall methodology do? Essentially, it is a project management method. Simple. Where every development activity is conducted in a very linear, sequential manner. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, which means that every activity is conducted only after the previous activity is fulfilled. Each step, each phase of development depends on the closure, on the deliverable of the previous phase. So far, are you all with me? Give me a thumbs up if yes, give me a thumbs down if no. So far, all with me? Okay. Now, in this waterfall methodology, where it is sequential, where every phase cascades downwards, you have software engineers, techies, who are working in every phase, right? So, for example, you will have first you're approaching a client. You bid for their deal. You pitch for it. You get the deal. Great, right? Now, so your salespeople have done that. The salespeople will come out with a proposal, right? Which is to do with all the, the clauses, the deliverables, the agreement, all of that, right? So all that happens. Now, all that is done. Now it comes to software development, the actual software development, right? So now the real techie team will come in. The techie team can be all the way from a junior who is fresh out of college to a very senior person of 20, 25, 30 years. The systematic structure of the software development life cycle. So someone had put down SDLC, software development life cycle. I'm putting it down in the chat box for all of you. Okay. In the software development life cycle, you will break it down into phases. You will do the planning. This is a software required based on the needs articulated, right? How do we now? Now the next phase is organizing the resources, organizing the hardware required, organizing the people required, organizing the finances. Then you have the design stage. What does design mean? Design is designing that particular software. What will it look like? What will be the various back-end coding that needs to be done so that the UI, the users, what you finally see on the screen in front of you while you are working away on your laptop or on your desktop in your company, whether you're sitting in Toyota, whether you're sitting in I don't know, IDFC Bank, whether you're sitting in, Nike company, wherever you're sitting, what you're actually working on, the software you're actually working on, Infosys has created that, correct? So the back-end planning of it, the UI of it, right? Yes. So that part is your designing and then testing. So you have testing teams also, whose only job is to test for bugs, test whether it is working or not, test whether there is an error or not, test whether it needs to be redone or not. So the waterfall methodology is an approach, is a process used by software development teams as well as product development teams. Now, along the journey in the last 15 to 20 odd years, there's another approach to software development that came about. It's older, it came around mid-90s. But to the Indian market, it has come only in the last 10-15 years. And therefore, Sneha, you can make notes because I'm still on the first slide. We have not even started design thinking yet because so many of us don't even know what the basics are, right? Which is fine. We are a mixed group over here. We are not all techies. I'm not a techie, right? So we are going back to the basics. Now, in the last 10-15 years, a new approach to developing a software came about in the Indian market, because of which a lot of clients said to IT companies such as Infosys that, oh, you know what? I've heard this new approach is better than waterfall methodology. I want my project that you are working on. I want my project to be done based on this new model. What is it called? The techies over here will know the answer to that. What is the new model? Absolutely. It's the agile framework, the agile model. And as the name suggests, it's all about flexibility. The basic mantra of agile framework is flexibility. So like I told you about waterfall methodology, where it is very linear, very sequential, you will go to step 3 only when you have accomplished step 1 and step 2, which is very structured approach. In agile, you don't follow that structured approach. It is a software development approach based on iterative development. What does iterative development mean? Very simple. All these are big jargons. I'll just simplify it for you and me. For the techies, it's not required because it's part of the jargon. But for the non-techies that we are, right? Let me simplify it. It's all about ideation creation, ideas, right? And with every idea that you propose, you try to develop that idea a little bit more, see whether will be successful or it will be failing very fast. And if it fails very fast, the good news is you didn't reach the end, no? And then you did not do a demo or you did not show a prototype to the client, where then the client is telling you, actually, this is a failure because it's not going to work. You did not match the requirements I had laid out. In Agile, the moment we come up with an idea, we work on it a little bit, we immediately touch base with the client and say, hey, you know what, this is what we've come up with to resolve your requirement or to fulfill your need. This is what you are working with. Do you think this would in some form fulfill your need or your requirement? When the client comes back with a response, whether it's yes, great, no, it won't. So you know immediately whether you have failed early on in the stages. So therefore, you do not have to spend the next 3 months of your time, effort, and the company money on working on something, which eventually after 3 months, the client is going to tell you, you know what, it's not really aligned to our needs or our requirements, which waterfall methodology used to do. So in waterfall methodology, the downside was that it is only at the end of the entire software development life cycle is when we will go to our client and showcase as a prototype. See, this is a prototype we have created that will fulfill your requirements, your tech requirements. And that is when, after 9 months, 12 months, 13 months of development work, is when the client will turn around and say, you know what, some of it is okay, but many of these aspects are not fulfilling our requirement. So a good 6 to 7 months of work and of people invested in that project used to go for a toss. Agile came in to mitigate those issues. It came in to break the tasks into smaller parts and to minimize the project risk. And the stages of Agile are different from waterfall methodology, but let's understand that it is an iterative development process where with every incremental progress, it is developed on an idea, it is taken to the client and quickly told within a couple of weeks that is this the right path or not. If it's not the right path, we can quickly undo the work and start again. Over a period of time, this has worked out to be a much better and a more accurate approach to fulfilling client needs and requirements, more flexible in its nature. And in waterfall methodology, typically you would see in an IT company that it is a senior manager, senior leadership who is in more touch with the client, more frequent touch bases. The juniors, the actual team members who are working on the software development, or rather who are doing the software development, they are not really in touch with the clients. It is the seniors and the managers. But in Agile, you will see that the entire atmosphere is where the team members are encouraged to get in touch with the client side and be in contact with them on a very regular and on a very frequent basis to reduce the psychological distance between us as the creators and designers and the client as the actual users of that technology. I'll take a pause here. I've said a lot. Are you still with me? Still with me? Still with me? Still with me? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, great. I'm also seeing a couple of private messages over here that are being sent only to me, and you're absolutely right. It saves time, it saves money in the long run. Yeah. Nimita, no, I would not say that it is a waterfall model at the beginning, because prototyping in the beginning in itself is a sure shot way of looking at failure right at the beginning. Yeah. Now, so all this we know. Now, waterfall methodology, agile framework. This is what IT companies are all about right now. Okay. Thank you, Ramya. All right. So now let's look at another concept called design thinking. You will realize during the whole process of design thinking, and when we get into the concepts and all, that it is reminding you of waterfall methodology and where you will find a lot of similarity between the agile framework and design thinking. That's it. You will find a lot of similarity between agile framework and design thinking over a period of the next 1 hour, less than 1 hour. All right. So first, let me tell you why design thinking became such a big deal for Infosys. And why is it that on the Springboard platform, we want design thinking? Before you get into any of the other technical trainings, why is it that the Springboard team, Prithvi and the rest of them decided to first introduce all of you to design thinking? Because it is a way of approaching problems and coming up with solutions. Back in 2014, 2015, we had a different CEO. Currently, the CEO of Infosys is Salil Parekh. At that time, our CEO at that time was Vishal Sikka. Those of you who are familiar would know. Vishal Sikka came in from SAP, another company. He was a huge fan of design thinking. And when he came in, one of the first things he did was he went out and he met a lot of clients and interacted with them, to find out how are things between them and Infosys, and is there anything that we need to do better, etc., etc. So that was initially what Vishal Sikka went and did. Now, during these interactions with multiple clients across the board, across regions, geographies, and industries, everyone said that, yeah, Infosys is great. We're doing, we've got a great collaboration with them. All of that is nice. But there is one thing that was a common critical feedback given to us. That was that, Infosys is really good and all of that, but you come across more as service providers rather than business consultants. You come across more as order takers rather than business partners, providing us with expert technical support. Yeah. So Vishal Sikka then turned around and thought to himself, okay, this is the feedback given to us across the board. What can we do about it? Hemlata, we are still on the opening slide. So when he started asking around what can we do about it, etc., etc., a thought occurred to him that, what? The one thing that can really help us is design thinking, where we no longer are only order takers or only service providers, but we are also perceived as business consultants. And he was a huge fan of DT, design thinking. He came from SAP, which follows the design thinking framework. And then there are a few others like Facebook as well. And in 2015, 2016, 2017, Vishal Sikka wanted entire Infosys to know what design thinking is. So literally, the ETA, learning and development track members, were traveling across the country, traveling outside of the country to other locations where Infosys employees were based. And we were training people on design thinking, so that the perception of Infosys is no longer that of being an order taker and a service provider only, but also as a SME business consultant. And that has worked wonders for us across domains, across units, across industries, across projects. So we really, really stand by this concept. That is why Prithvi and team even decided to start off your learning journey with design thinking. Now, many of you have gone through the videos and the pre-learning material, right? I want to ask you this. How many of you have also how many of you are familiar with the Jane Chen story? Jane Chen. Okay, not familiar with Jane Chen? Okay, how about Doug Dietz? I'm putting it down in the chat box. Doug Dietz? Okay, all right, all right. Many of you asked what is the application of design thinking in an actual, in a project, or where does it come in the SDLC? Which stage of SDLC, software development lifecycle? Which stage of SDLC does design thinking come in from? What is the practical usage, practical application? Lots of people put that in the chat box. I was seeing that. Yeah. Now let's talk about the application of design thinking and how it is actually. What is the flow of it? I'll share it with you through two stories. Please remember, this is not a storytelling session. This is a design thinking session. But I'll tell you design thinking through storytelling. Yeah, Sarah, absolutely. Yeah, everyone? Okay. Jane Chen was an individual. She was a student. Okay. So there is Stanford. Design thinking, by the way, is a concept that has been copyrighted, patented, and copyrighted by Stanford School of Business. All right. And Infosys, some of our senior leaders are certified directly by Stanford University. And then then the Stanford professors came to Infosys and conducted training for many of us, certified many of us at our Mysore office many years back. Again, when Vishal Sikka was the CEO. Now, at that time, few years before that, there is Stanford Business School has a design school called D Design. Okay. And the students at D Design sometimes do internships. And in one of the companies that they did internships, it's called IDEO. The company's name is IDEO, IDEO. It's based in California. IDEO at that time, and it still is, one of the biggest, topmost, most renowned design thinking companies that comes up with very innovative, creative solutions for a need, requirement, or a problem that a client can come to them with. And the client may be across geographies, across regions, across industries. IDEO is very well reputed to come up with out of the box thinking, very innovative and creative solutions. Now, about 14-15 years back, there was this individual by the name of Jane Chen, who was a student, who was an intern, and she was working with a team. They were a team of 4 people. 2 of them, I'm very proud to say, are Indian origin students. At that time, Jane Chen and her group were asked to work on a problem statement that was given to them. The problem statement that they were given as interns was, how can we reduce the death rate of premature babies in developing countries? Is everyone clear with the problem statement? How can we reduce the death rate of premature babies in developing countries? Okay. Therefore, my first question to all of you is, can you quickly tell me how will you define a premature baby? How will you define a premature baby? Anshu, you have raised your hand. Did you want to say something? Harika has also raised her hand. Anupama has also raised their hand. You want to say something, please let me know. Okay, let's see. Not 9 months, born too early, weight is less, born before full term, preterm, born before the expected number of weeks, before 9 months, which was not completed 37-week cycle, born before 7 months, born before 8 months, less than required growth, who's not fully developed, 7th month baby, 37 weeks born, 36 weeks, born, yes. Born with slow development, has not developed to its fullest functionalities. I'm a preemie, born in 7 months with less weight. Rehana, this is not being recorded. Underdeveloped, before fully formed, less nutrition, baby, okay. Has been developed before gaining full strength. Okay, fine. All right, so almost all of you have gotten this correctly. Almost all of you. Any child who is born less than 36, 37 weeks, any child born less than 34, 35 weeks, child can be 6 months old, right? Within the 6th month delivery time during the gestational period of the woman, could be 6.5, right? So a fetus that is was there in the mother's uterus for 24 weeks, 28 weeks, 22 weeks, right? Any baby born before the 36th week, so anywhere from 30, 32, 33, even lesser, is a premature baby. We've established that. Now tell me one thing. Why is it that when a premature baby is born, everyone is very nervous? Why is the medical faculty very anxious and nervous? Why is it a high risk pregnancy? Why is the family not happy? What is happening there? What is the reason? Survive possibilities are less. Why, Aisha? They're delicate. Why are they delicate? Why can they not live in a normal environment? Why are they underweight? Organs are not fully developed. Very good. Chances of survival are not good. Gestational diabetes, that could have been the cause of why there was premature baby. Vital organs are not fully developed. Okay, great. So we are on the right path here. Tell me one thing. In the baby's body, the fetus, while the baby is still in the mother's uterus, it's called what? It's called a fetus. So what is the last system that is developed in the fetus before the baby is considered full-term baby? Absolutely right. It is a respiratory system that is developed at the end. And in the respiratory system also, it is the lungs, the internal organ which is formed at the very end is the lungs. right? So a baby, after you cross the 36th week, by then ideally, the fetus should be fully formed, which includes the lungs, right? Now, that has not happened. Therefore, one issue is breathing. Now, can you tell me what is the other issue? Baby that is born less than 36 weeks, less than 30 weeks, less than 32 weeks. What is the other issue that is very visible? Weight. Absolutely, Aish Khanam, right? Absolutely, Madhuri. It is the weight. Absolutely, Krishnaveni. They are underweight. So, in a full-term baby, we'll see all that fat on them, no? Very cute, very chubby, very sweet looking, so cute, so adorable. That fat to us is great, great. Oh, wow, what a chubby little baby, how sweet. But for the baby's very survival, that fat is required. Why? Why is the fat required? Why do they need that certain amount of fat? Absolutely right, Shubha. Absolutely right, Nimita. It is to regulate the body temperature of the baby. That is why any of us during gestational period, those of us who have been biological mothers would know that if we end up getting fever, cold, cough, we can, the one of the biggest worries is during pregnancy is that the woman should not end up with high fever. Other than other illnesses, one thing is that she shouldn't have high fever because her body temperature is going to impact the fetus's body temperature, which is then going to impact the fetal development, right? So the child needs a certain body temperature to maintain itself and to be healthy. The second thing, of course, is lungs are only not developed. So how will it breathe? What is going to help? For a premature baby, what is that one device that the medical that a hospital can give? Absolutely right. It's an incubator. Correct? So an incubator will provide you with oxygen if oxygen is really required. In many cases, you will see that there's no oxygen mask put on the baby, right? Baby is able to breathe, which is great. But the other thing is that there's also a temperature controlled incubator, right? Which the baby actually needs. So what did Jane Chen and her team think? That, oh, incubator. Currently, incubators are costing around 20,000 US dollars. Okay. Now tell me one thing, for a developing country, right? In those days, can you guess which developing country could have had the highest rate of premature death rates? Those of us who already know the story, can I request you not to put it in, because this is a conversation, right? Okay, India, China, America, the US. Is it us or the US? Bangladesh, Africa. African countries, yes, there are many of them, that's true. Nepal, China again, Nepal, the US, maybe the country who discovered an incubator. Okay, Afghanistan, okay, Japan or China. Japan is not a developing country. It's one of the top 5, top 6 GDPs. It has the top 5, top 6 GDP. It's not a developing country. It is a developed country. Might be India. Okay. So those of us who are guessing and guessed Nepal are correct. Those of us who are guessing Nepal are absolutely correct. Unfortunately, Nepal had the highest death rate of premature babies. So now Jane Chen and her team realized that, okay, fine, an incubator costs a bomb. So clearly they don't have the budget because they're an underdeveloped country, right? They don't have the economical bandwidth to be able to afford incubators. That is why the hospitals perhaps don't have incubators. So what will we do? Let's make a low cost incubator for them, right? So what did they do? Now, this is what Jane Chen looks like. Okay. From Jane Chen, this is the incubator. We all recognize that this is an incubator, correct? All of us recognize an incubator. Now, based on this incubator that costs such a bomb, so expensive, they decided, let's make it economically possible, viable for the Nepalese government to afford an incubator, because that seems to be the problem. They may not be even having enough incubators. Let's make a low cost incubator. Okay. From here, they ended up creating a prototype of a low cost incubator. So this is the low cost incubator prototype that Jane Chen's team came up with. Now, around this time, they were like, you know what, we are dealing with Nepal. We are dealing with a very critical issue in Nepal, and we haven't gone there yet. So why don't we, visit Nepal? We've never been there. So around this time, they went to Nepal. And they went to some of the big cities like Kathmandu, Pokhara, etc. And when they went there, they experienced a big shock when they visited the hospitals there. What do you think they noticed in those big hospitals? Any guesses? Okay, electricity, unhygienic environment, no incubators, lack of continuous power, cost of incubator, very much technology equipment, very might be there having very much high technology equipment, climate, space, NICU, no facility, lack of doctors, infra space, low staff, minimal medical facilities, basic medical facilities, midwife delivery, shortage of staff. Okay, very poor condition of medical equipment, the women giving birth is less than 18, lack of infrastructure, power disruption, lack of technology, less infants from interior place. Okay, good guesses, all good guesses, lots of good guesses. You know what shocked these people? The shock was that these hospitals did have incubators, and they had a very large number of incubators. But what they also noticed was that families were walking into the hospitals with premature newborn babies, with mothers who must have delivered that same day or just, very recently. But the incubators remained empty. So after observing for a few days to figure out, what's going on, they have enough incubators. Clearly, we were wrong. It's not like there's a dearth of incubators. They have enough and more. So what's going on? And these people come in after 1 or 2 days. We see the same family walking out. What is going on? So then they ask the medical faculty that what's going on here? That is when they learned a huge lesson, which they would not have been able to understand sitting in California. I'm seeing a lot of you giving very good guesses here. Lack of awareness, lack of training, lack of knowledge, home birth, they weren't functional. None of these is the right answer. Superstitions, money, lack of trained technicians, good guess over there. People don't want to use due to religious reasons, design problem, electricity, price, rural area, maybe scared, lack of awareness. Very good guesses coming in. Very, very good guesses coming in. not good doctors, not surviving till the hospital. Yeah. Lack of knowledge. No, I'm talking about families and children who survived even when they had reached the hospital. Okay, lots of guesses coming in. Shall I tell you what the actual reason was? Almost all of the folks who came in with their premature babies were daily wage earners, which means that they were farmers working in farmlands, which were minimum 2 to 3 days away from the big hospitals. Often, they would have to travel for 2 to 3 days to even reach the hospital after the woman has delivered her baby. Often, the woman would be traveling that same day after delivering her baby, or just perhaps a day later. Now, because they're daily wage earners, please understand this. Every day they are away from the farm, they lose their wages, correct? And often, it may not just be their first child. They may have other children back home who they have had to leave behind. They have other family members also who they are supporting financially. So, one day's loss of wage for both the father and the mother, the husband and the wife, is a huge hit on the family income, correct? It will take them 2 to 3 days to reach the hospital. Now, in the hospital, minimum 15 days, they are going to keep the baby in the incubator. Then another 2 to 3 days to travel back. Can you imagine? 7 weeks, 21 days gone just like that, 3 weeks gone just in that. 3 weeks of daily wages. So now the situation was where they would tell the parents that, you know what, we need to keep the baby here for 15 days. These people would have a huge issue. So then they would be like, we can't afford to have a baby here for 15 days. So then the medical faculty even started telling that, you know what, we understand your concern and your issue. You go back to your village. We will take care of the baby here in the incubator. You come back after 7, 8 days. Don't come back before. We will take care of the baby. Don't worry. Tell me one thing. Which mother is going to leave her newborn baby in the big city in a hospital without her, without any other family member? No one, right? So they would say no. And they would say, no, it's okay. We'll take care. We've taken care of the other babies also. We'll take care. We can't leave our baby here all alone. So then they would take their babies back. And if you remember, many of us must have seen it by now, or we may have at least seen a photo. You remember the tea estate, coffee estate workers, the women, they're working, plucking away at the tea leaf, coffee leaves, and they have a baby tied at the back. Yeah. So in many of these farming cultures, you'll see the woman with her baby tied at the back, right? Yes. So this was the idea of taking care of the baby. High altitude, cold place, premature baby. What are the chances of survival? So this was the unfortunate truth that Jane Chen and her team realized only when they reduced their physical distance from United States of America, California to Asia, Nepal. They reduced that physical distance. Sitting there, they wouldn't have understood any of this. Nothing to do with technology, nothing to do with capability, nothing to do with affordability of the Nepalese government, everything to do with the socio-economic situation of those parents. And so, the original problem statement that was given to them, how can we reduce the death rate of premature babies in developing countries, was now changed. They had to go back to the drawing board and they realized that the low cost incubator is pointless. It was a waste. It did not fulfill their need. In fact, the problem statement in itself needs to be re-looked at and redefined. Because what we thought was the problem, we assumed the problem was high cost incubator, low development country, low affordability and viability. That is the actual problem. That was never the problem. So then they went back to the drawing board and they redefined the problem. And they came up with, how might we help the mothers keep their newborn babies warm until they reach a hospital in cold places like Nepal? They re-looked at the problem statement in itself and they redefined it. On redefining it, they came up with a second prototype, which is a very cute prototype. Can anyone quickly guess what the second prototype may have been? Absolutely right. An infant warmer, Himlata. They came up with this. So don't cheat, Himlata, because then you're taking away the fun for everybody else. But thanks for being honest about the fact that you cheated. Otherwise, we might as well stop the session and you go to Google and you do the whole thing. You go through the whole thing on Google. There is no point of Prithvi and I to do the session for you guys. So this is a paraffin lined baby bag is what they were calling it. How do you use this paraffin lined baby bag? Very simple. You heat it, I mean, without the baby inside, of course. You heat the baby bag and it remains to a certain temperature for about 4 hours. Yeah. And you place the baby inside, and it will sustain for about 4 hours, the temperature. Okay. But it turns out that this prototype, when they tested it amongst parents with premature babies, this prototype also ended up being a failure. Can anyone tell me why you think this particular baby bag ended up being a failure? The prototype. Okay, skin allergy, it was costly because they were traveling for days, the money. But ma'am, this is also like reaching the hospital, but the problem is still there. Only 4 hours warm, they have to travel 3 to 4 days, required frequently, not affordable, heating up issue, need to feed in between, temperature difference, not consistent, size, no temperature control, doesn't solve breathing issue, where to reheat after 4 hours, breathing problem. You know, you have very good guesses. I have to tell you, you have very good guesses. I'm still seeing a lot of responses come in. I'm looking for the right one. Okay, let me ask you this. I read all the responses. Let me ask you this. How many of us, we've all seen babies sleep, no? When babies sleep, their fingers twitch, their feet twitch. It looks so cute, no? Even we move around, right? When we are sleeping, our body moves, right? Of course, it doesn't look cute on us. It looks cute on the babies, correct? The feet twitching, the body twitching, yeah, hand moving around. Yeah, looks cute. Can you see the body twitching in this baby back? Can't, right? Baby's covered up till here. How many of us have gone 3-4 times in the middle of the night and put a finger in front of the nostril to check whether your baby is breathing? How many of you have done it? Give me a thumbs up. Yeah. How many of you have gone and you are in the habit, or you used to be in the habit of putting your hand on the chest of the baby to see whether the baby's chest is rising? Swaddling is the swaddling is the original way of taking care of a baby. Absolutely. Swaddling is a very good thing for a baby, also for the joints. You all done it? Can you see the chest go up and down in this baby bag? No, right? Ladies, this was the problem. This is why the prototype failed. They were not able to see the baby move. That sense of emotional assurance was not provided to the parents. So the parents every half an hour would remove the baby from the baby sling to check whether the baby is okay. Tell me one thing, is that conducive to using this paraffin line baby warmer? Does it help? If you're going to remove the baby every half an hour to check, is the baby breathing? Is the baby okay? Is the baby alive? No, right? That is why it failed. Again, did it have anything to do with technology? No. Did it have anything to do with cost? No. It had everything to do with a mother's, with a parent's instinctual concern and fear for the child's life. Basic, is my child breathing or not? Emotions, absolutely right, Ankita. Again, something that Jane Chen and her team would not have understood sitting over there in California. So first it was a socioeconomic constraint. Then it came down to emotions. Please remember, these are illiterate, disadvantaged people, daily wage earners, very, very poor people who don't have access to knowledge, education, technology, rational thinking, logical thinking. So then they came up with another prototype of the baby pouch. It's also very cute. They came up with this. Now, the image that I'll show you is that of the final prototype, which is currently, in use in maternity hospitals across India. I believe in Tamil Nadu, those of you who are from Tamil Nadu or who live in Tamil Nadu may be familiar that some of the maternity hospitals there, by default, they give a kit with the mother when she gets discharged, right? And it's called the Embrace Baby Pouch. This is the Embrace Baby Pouch, which is a final prototype where you can see more of the baby. Yes, so cute. Now here also, let me tell you, just before this final baby, this final version, there was another version to it. That version had a digital display of the temperature. So much like the paraffin line baby bag, what they did was they had a digital display that showed you heat up this baby pouch to whatever, 37.2, 37.5 degrees or 98.6 degrees temperature, whatever. And for the next few hours, the baby pouch will be nice and warm and it will keep showing, that digital display will keep showing the correct temperature. When the digital display starts to reduce the temperature starts reducing is when you remove your baby, reheat the baby pouch and place your baby inside, right? Simple. But guess what? That version of the Embrace baby pouch, the previous version of the Embrace baby pouch with the digital display, was again not working. Can anyone tell me why? Any guesses? Any quick guesses? battery, charger, cost, knowledge. It's a purely cultural mindset. That's all I'm going to tell you. Temperature is not accurate, education to read the device, illiterate people, lack of power, lack of education, maintenance, machine on a baby, sensors, current issue. Hygiene facts, no trust, cannot touch the baby. Radiation, ease of carrying, scary for illiterates, not natural, inadequate charging. Very good guesses, very good guesses. No doubt, very good guesses. I'll tell you the real reason. The real reason. So, how many of us know at least one person in our life, or maybe that person is, you yourself, where you get fever, cold, cough, and you go to the doctor, you get a prescription for 7 days. I know a couple of us over here are medicos over here. You get the prescription for 7 days medicine. You take medicine religiously for 3 to 4 days. After that, you stop. How many of you know at least one person in your life like that? Why? Because temperature is no more there. The cough is also under control. Cold is also under control. I can work. I can function better. I don't need 7 days. 7 days antibiotics. My God, these Western medicine people, they don't know anything. It is too much for the body. I don't need 7 days. 3 or 4 days is enough. See, I'm already better. I have no fever. Right? Same thing was happening here, my friends. Remember, you are dealing with illiterate, very, very uneducated people. For them, 98.6%, 37.2%, my God, my baby will burn. It's too hot. 30, 31 degrees is fine. So they would heat up the baby embrace pouch till 30, 31 degrees. Digital display is showing 30, 31 degrees. This is enough. I will put my baby inside. So what will Jane Chen and her team do? They do not have the scope to go and educate and start teaching these people coming from small villages, backward villages. So they said, you know what? Forget the digital display. It is a psychological impact, digital display. Let's remove the digital display. There will be no visual reference to any numbers that will scare the parents. We'll just put green and red light. Green light means correct temperature. Red light means temperature has started reducing. Let's just remove it. So after removing the digital display is the final prototype that you can see on the screen in front of you without the digital display. They took this version of the prototype to a very, very remote and a very, very poor village in Maharashtra at that time in India. In Maharashtra, there was this one village that had the lowest literacy rate, and unfortunately the highest death rate of babies. So they took the embrace pouch there, and it was a huge success. I'll share a photo with you of Jane Chen with a family, where you can see this lady Kirti. She has used the embrace baby pouch for her baby weighing 1.6 kilos only. And then finally, after the successful usage of this baby pouch, how the little baby, now you can see all cute, chubby, fat, golu molu, really sweet, right? So this is one of the success stories of how design thinking can be applied. Design thinking, my friends, is all about reducing the psychological distance between you as the creator, as the designer of a service, of a product, of a technology, of a software, and the end user of that service, of that product, of that technology. How do you reduce the psychological distance between you and your end user? If you come from a teaching background, how are you going to reduce the psychological distance between you and your student? Whether that student is a college going kid, whether that student is a business student with 5 years of work experience, whether that student is an 8th grader, how are you going to do that? So at Infosys, we call it the zero distance. You reduce the psychological distance between you as an Infosian and the end user of that technology that you have created. Zero distance goes hand in hand with design thinking approach. So the design thinking approach in a nutshell is made up of 5 constructs, 5 phases, 5 stages, whatever you want to call it. Stanford Business School says the 5 constructs of design thinking. Folks, I am not responding to each and every comment in the chat box, but I am reading each and every comment, okay? In the interest of time, I'm not able to respond to each and every one of them. So Radhika, it completely depends on you, your timelines, the contract. I will remind you of waterfall methodology and the agile framework. And I will show you a particular slide that will remind you of waterfall methodology and agile framework. I'm just going to let you just take about 30 seconds. Look at the first part, incremental innovation. Look at that chart. Only the left side, incremental innovation, look at it properly. After you look at it properly, then you move to impactful innovation and look at that entire cyclical structure. I'll give you 30 seconds to go through it. So for those techies, you would be able to figure out that you're not able to see it clearly. Okay, let me see if I can increase it. Yeah. So for those of us, the techies, the left hand is your waterfall methodology. And the right side is your agile. Yes, correct. So you can see the parallel understanding, right? The parallel philosophy. Now the 5 constructs of design thinking. The first one is your empathy. How can you put yourself in the shoes of your stakeholder, your partner, your client, the person on the other side of the table? Someone said over here, I think it was Aisha who said, I'm a maths teacher. So your student, your patient, how can you put yourself in the shoes of the other party to truly understand their needs and their requirements? Based on that, you define the problem statement. Instead of first assuming something to be a problem statement, you then, after having conversations with those people, with the other party, is when you define a problem statement. And after that, you come up with various ideas, suggestions, creative thinking at its best. Based on the ideas that you and your team collectively brainstorm on, you then come up with prototypes. types. Remember, around the prototype testing stage, you may realize that the problem that you defined needs to be re-looked at and possibly redefined. And so you start off with another round of empathy conversations, possibly, and then you come up with another set of ideations, possibly, so that you are able to come up with a second, third version of a prototype. Remember, the closer you are to your client, your customer, your patient, your student, more interactions you have, lesser is the psychological distance, and the faster you figure out that the approach I'm taking is wrong, I should immediately step back rather than spending weeks and months in a certain direction. Absolutely right, Kavita. The private messages that I'm getting, I'm seeing those as well, but because you've sent them to me privately, I'm not taking your name out because you've sent them to me privately. All right. Absolutely right, Kavita. And during this process, there is one other thing that I would encourage you all to consider. They are the 3 attributes of design thinking. So what you saw right now is the 5 constructs of design thinking: empathy, define, possibly redefine, ideate, prototype, and testing. 3 attributes that support the design thinking problem solving approach are these. Again, I'll give you a moment to just look at this. I've got a question from someone. It's a private question saying, is design thinking same as agile? Design thinking is a problem solving approach which you can apply in any industry, in any form, right? Agile is more specific to product management, project management, specifically more in terms of process related and process development and software development related. Design thinking is an overarching approach. Agile is more specific to certain areas. The 3 primary attributes of design thinking are desirability, which means, if you're taking notes, please make a note. Desirability is essentially your client, your customer, the other party's needs and requirements, and how well are your ideas, your solutions, your proposals, how well are they able to fulfill those desires, those requirements, those needs. The second attribute is feasibility. Feasibility in simple language means, how practical is this solution that I am proposing to my client, the third party, the patient, the user, my student, whoever. Is it practically possible to come up with this solution? Do I have the budget? Do I have the required skilled people to work on this solution? Do we have the required time to create and deliver this solution? All the practical aspects. So how feasible is this proposal or these 2-3 solutions? The third attribute is viability. Does it make business sense? Is it going to benefit the other party financially? If I'm in a company, I am not here for philanthropic reasons. I'm here for revenue generating, profit generation, correct? So is it going to add to the company's profit and loss account? Is it going to make sense on the balance sheet or not? Right? So how viable is this solution from a money perspective to both parties, me as well as the other person? If I am taking tuitions in Sanskrit, then the effort that I'm putting in, the time that I'm putting in should be worth the tuition fees that I'm quoting. And the student should feel that the fees they are paying is worth the effort that I am putting in and the time and effort they are putting in for Sanskrit tuitions. So that is where, so good question there, Hemlata. At the prototype stage, you will then, at this point, when you're showcasing the prototype of your product or your software to your client, at that time, you will also be talking about all the costs involved. That is one way of figuring out how viable it is. That please remember, when you create that prototype, it is your own senior leadership that will vet the prototype before taking it to your client. Internally, they will do the checks, no? Is it viable for us? We can come up with it, but does it make business sense? How many people are we going to require to come up with this software? How many weeks? How many months? We have to pay so and so number of people, so and so amount of salary every month. We are getting billed by the client. Then we have outside vendors and suppliers also to whom that we have to pay. Eventually, what is our revenue margin? All that they will decide during prototype if you come up with a prototype of a solution. It's only at that time is when you'll figure out by your senior leadership whether it is a viable solution or not. I hope that answers the question, Hemlata. So I have another question. Who handles the design thinking role in the project? Is it the business analyst? Not necessarily. Ideally, there is no one role. It is you having a conversation with you as a team, having a conversation as a team with your clients. Yeah, one person, the business analyst, can take the lead on that. But ideally, it should be the larger team trying to reduce the psychological distance between them as a team and the client's team, the other side. So Geeta, the desirability attribute is all about your client's desire, your client's need, requirement, the solution, the ideation that you have come up with. Is it able to fulfill that or not? Simple. Yeah. So, Prithvi, it is also exactly 1 o'clock. And I'm a little conscious about the time here. So, you let me know. Is Prithvi with us right now?
Swati, I'm here. Actually, the session is still 1 o'clock, but since we had initially started 10 minutes later, you can continue for
Can
another.
continue? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
All right.
As
So
long
maybe
as
then answer
we are all interested in listening to the session, so I'm sure participants are too.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing some questions. Mansi, so is it a project management team involved in DT? Yes, absolutely they are, Mansi. In fact, I'll tell you how a DT workshop is conducted, and perhaps that will answer some of the other questions as well. Yeah. Okay. So the way a DT workshop is conducted over here at Infosys is suppose we have about in a team, we have let's say about 25 people. Excuse me. Okay. About 25 people are there in the team. The manager says, you know what, we've been having certain issues and we need to deliver something to the client and we're not able to figure out how to go about it. And some of our team members also don't seem to be very clear as to what the deliverable is. What is the requirement? What kind of software are we developing and what will be the designing of it? Fine. So they on their own, the business unit will come to us, the learning and development track, with certain pain points, certain issues, certain problem statements. We will bring them in and we will first break them into smaller groups of 5, let's say. Now, each one from the project, they know who they are working for, what is their client, which industry the client is in, what is the core business of the client, who are their competitors, right? They have also been given an outline of the requirements of the client, right? So this is the knowledge they have come with. What we do is, in the smaller groups of 5, we say out of the 5 people in one small group, one of you will behave like you are the client. The rest 4 will do a role play where you are from the Infosys side. And that one person is from the client side. So now you are going to do a role play. And similarly, the other 5 groups will also do the same thing. In the other groups also, one person will be client, the other 4 will be, from the Infosys side. So it will be like a role play. We will tell them, for the next 30 minutes, you will do an empathy conversation where the 4 of you from Infosys will have a conversation with that one person pretending to be from the client side, to understand what their business is, to understand what their core revenue generating sources are, to understand who their competitors are, to understand what the market trend of their industry is, to understand what their needs and requirements are, to understand the challenges they're facing when they're dealing with their own end users and their own client and customer base. So you, from your side, are trying your level best to put yourself in the shoes of that proxy pretend client. That is your empathy conversation. So in practical application, folks, this is the way we will do it. Based on that half an hour, 40, 45 minute empathy conversation, that is why, Kavita, we are having multiple iterations and multiple rounds of empathy conversation. Of course, bias is coming in. But because there are 4 different people asking you 4 different type of questions in just one group, forget the remaining 5 groups. That is where you are multiplying that one conversation with another 5. Often after 30, 45 minutes, they come back to us saying, Swati, the initial problem statement that we started the workshop with, actually, we may have to redefine it because there were certain aspects that we didn't even think about. Yeah. And so often we redefine the problem statement. And then we move on to the ideation stage where we encourage them to, and this is, let me go through this, where we encourage them. So this is your empathy conversation. And let me also tell you, it could be either only an internal team workshop. Often we have clients visiting the Infosys offices, whether it's Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad, Gurgaon, wherever, right? Jaipur, Chandigarh, wherever. So when they are visiting our offices, often they themselves suggest, can we do a workshop with all of you? We can collaborate and, discuss our pain points together. How can we do that? So many a times our business people, the internal business folks, come to us saying that, clients are visiting for 3-4 days. Can we have a full day design thinking workshop wherein the clients will also be part of the workshop? We are like, very good, bring it on. Now, instead of that one pretend proxy person pretending to be the client, right? We actually put the client in that place. We say that, okay, about 20-25 people from our side will attend the workshop. From the client side, about 4 or 5 of you are going to come, right? We are going to split the group into 5-6 groups or 4-5 groups. And from the client side, those 4-5 people, we will ask them to be spread across one client rep for each group. Therefore, a true empathy conversation can take place. Yeah, making sense? Making sense, no? Geeta, you can absolutely do that. You know what? A lot of people also argue that agile framework is a far more smaller, detailed version of the waterfall methodology. A lot of people argue with that also. And there's a part of me that agrees also to that. Yes, Hemlata, any problem statement can have a design thinking approach to it. You need not use all the 5 constructs. You can use only some of them. So I'll quickly go through this. This is your empathize stage. This is your defining stage, where you may have to redefine. Okay. Thank you, Suvita, but we've not recorded this session. But I believe the content is all available on the Springboard platform. The third stage is your ideation stage. Okay. Brainstorming, visualizing, coming up with all kinds of wild, wacky ideas. Videhi, the way I will look at it is, agile is a very specific approach for software development. The phases involved in that are, there are certain values which are similar to design thinking. One of the values is empathy and having transparent communication. But not all the values of agile are the same as design thinking. But yes, definitely some of the phases and stages are similar. You know, like the sprint, right? Like the sprint review, right? It is very similar to your ideation and prototype, if you look at it, Videhi. The sprint review and in agile and the ideation and the prototype. Yeah. So this is your third stage of ideation. And we suggest don't write down list of ideas. Please never do that. Don't make a list of ideas in text. Draw doodles, sketches, because visual animated illustration of an idea stays in your mind for far longer than bullet points. So at Infosys, we never ask you to make a list of your ideas during ideation stage. We ask you to draw sketches and, doodling. The fourth stage is your prototype. And as you can see, cost effective, constant feedback, quick iterations. All these 3 go back to your 3 attributes. Desirability, feasibility, viability. Desirability, the feedback will give the feedback will give you an idea of whether it is fulfilling the requirement or not. The feasibility is all about viability is all about cost effectiveness, right? Quick iterations is all about your feasibility. And the last one is your testing stage. You show them the prototype, you test it, you let them simply test your suggestion, your idea, the solution that you're proposing. Then you see how well it works for them or it doesn't work for them. Is there still a gap between what they need and what you delivered? Is there still a gap? So let me go back. Lots of people are asking me for the second slide. This is your second slide. So with this, we have come to the end of the design thinking session. Ladies, I really hope that, in fact, we've taken 16 minutes beyond 1 o'clock. So I really, really hope that you have been able to get some insights about what design thinking is, and how it can be applied in the real world context. It's not just software development, it's not just for an IT company, it is for any industry, because trust me, we at Infosys actually apply design thinking for clients belonging to various industries, various regions, and various geographies. All right. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you, Tejashwini. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Swati Bhargava. It was a really amazing session. As I introduced you, an ACE facilitator from ETA, thank you so much for facilitating the session to the participants on design thinking. So it's a human-centered approach that will help us identify the real problems or the opportunities to find solutions and understand if it is worth finding solutions or not. So this is what is design thinking all about. I'll also share the link that you can refer to, which is on Infosys Springboard. Quickly, I'll just share my screen and show you how you can get to that link. Swati also can tell if there are any other learning material they can refer to.
Let me share one link with all of you. Just give me a second. I'd love to share this one link with all of you. You will really get an idea of how the company IDEO really applies design thinking. All right. Can I just give me 1 second? I'm going to paste it in the chat box. Okay.
Yeah, meanwhile, I'll also let you know how you can get into this particular course material. Once you log into Infosys Springboard, please log in with your credentials, registered mail ID. When you log in, just type in here as design thinking, or you can look up for this particular link, which I'm going to share on the chat box. It's a 3-hour, 31-minute course. I don't think it copied. 1 second. Yeah, this is a 3-hour, 31-minute course. Whatever Swati Bhargava has explained so far, with examples and why and how we need to use this approach, and what are the 5 constructs of design thinking, how do we apply it to the project, everything is mentioned here. At the end of the course material, you do have an assessment which has 10 questions, which hardly takes 15 minutes. So please go through the course completely, the 3-hour, 31-minute course, and take up the assessment. It's a design thinking assessment, which has 10 questions. You have to complete it within 15 minutes. So if at all you clear this particular assessment with 60% and above, you earn yourself a course completion certificate. And there are, apart from this design thinking course material too, you have a lot of other relative materials with respect to Agile and also with respect to water flow model, which Swati explained. And you do have design thinking other relative courses as well, which you can refer to on the platform. So I hope this is clear to all of you. Any doubts here? In case, suppose you're not able to clear the self-assessment in one shot, not to worry, after 15 to 20 minutes, you can please retry it, okay? And please do not stick to just this particular assessment. There are many other relative terms that you can look in for and you can search and you can keep learning and upgrading yourselves. And one last thing, ensure that your profile has the correct state, city, and Jobs for Her Foundation Bangalore mentioned. This is very, very important. And before even you download the certificate, ensure that your certificate has a correct name set in. So it all depends on how you have set your profile. You will be getting the details. So what you can do is, once you are done with the initially, many participants said they have already completed the course, but they could not find the certificate. Please wait for 24 hours from the time you have attempted. Just beneath the course, you get an option to generate your certificate. So once you click on generate certificate, you will get an option to view your certificate. I'll just show you one quickly. I know it's 1:21, and you all must be hungry as well. Swati, another 2 minutes, not more.
Prithvi, shall I exit?
Just 2 minutes, Swati. Just 2 minutes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is the course design thinking. So once you've completed the assessment, the generate certificate appears here. Once you click on generate certificate, you can view your certificate, and if everything is fine, you can download your certificate to your devices. So again, I'm repeating, if you do not see your certificate immediately, just wait for 24 hours from the time you have attempted. And in case, even in spite of that, you had any issues, you can always write to Springboard -support@infosys.com. Please mention you are from Jobs for Her Foundation HerShakti program, which was organized by in collaboration with Infosys Springboard, the subject matter, so that we'll be able to know from where we have got the concerns. So please write to springboard-support@infosys.com. And we request you to complete this particular course work and the certification by the next topic that we come across on AI, which is on May 2nd, which is a Thursday again. So before that, ensure that all of you have completed the course and taken the certificates as well. Thanks again, once again, Swati Bhargava, for an excellent session. I'm sure all of them are happy to be a part of it. Thank you so much for facilitating the session.
Thank you, Prithvi.
Once again, thanks to all the participants for joining in. Thanks, Avneet and the whole team of HerShakti program for the first session. Next, we'll meet all of you on the 2nd of May, which is on artificial intelligence, wherein we'll be talking about the aspects of artificial intelligence, which is one among them is natural language processing. I think my friend, our colleague Aishwarya had also joined in. Thanks for joining in, and thanks to Sahana ma'am for this opportunity. And thanks everyone. Happy learning, and I hope to see all of you completing the course material as well as getting the certifications. Thanks once again. If you have any questions, please make a note of it. At the end of all the sessions, we'll have one quick doubt clearing session wherein you can clear your doubts in case you have any. Thanks again, Swati. I think I'll just post the link once again, and then we can end the meet.
Thank you, Prithvi. Thank you so much. And to the participants, we shall be sharing all the links which have been shared by Prithvi right here in the chat box. Also, for the next pre-study links will also be shared with you all very soon.
Yes, any terminologies that has been used here, you're unaware of it, just type in the terminology here in the search box. You'll get relative materials regarding the same. And also, if you want to learn anything apart from what was told today, you're free to do so as well. I'll post the link one last time. The same link will be shared again by HerShakti and team as well. Just looking for design thinking, which is of 3 hours, 31 minutes, a beginner level course from Infosys Wingspan.